Hey guys, Ainsley here with Wave Electronics. Today, pretty exciting times for us because we just got a new line of CCTV security cameras and recorders. The brand is called Illumivue by Master Brand. The complete lineup is NDAA and FCC approved. Also, it has a 3-year warranty. All of the cameras in the lineup, whether they're IP or TVI, have the ability to see color at night. There's two technologies that we want to talk about today. One is night color and then night light. Night color allows the camera to see color at night by using just a small fraction of ambient light, whether it's a street light or a small floodlight on the side of the house, whatever the case may be, it has the ability to see color at night with just a little bit of ambient light. But let's say on your piece of property, you don't have any light whatsoever, it is pitch black. Well, we do have a technology called night light, and just as the name mentions, there are two small white LEDs that will automatically come on if there is no ambient light coming into the camera, and also for the camera to produce color at night. Really exciting technology within the entire lineup. And this is all sold exclusively through Wave Electronics. We should have it in stock in all 9 locations very soon. But today we're going to go through the setup of the NVR. We want to be able to customize, or for you to customize each recorder with the appropriate amount of hard drive space for your end user or your application. So today we'll go through the installation of the hard drive, then we'll go through the complete setup of the NVR and show you how to kind of maximize the system, not only for recording space, but also for performance. So let's get started. Step 1 is after you open up the box, you want to start removing 6 screws located around the outside perimeter of the chassis. First, you can start off with the rear. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on either side. So with each recorder, you get 2 sets of cables. One is a SATA cable. This is the actual signal produced from the recorder to the hard drive, and then you have a power cord as well. So you've got 2 sets that come with each recorder, just in case if you want to install 2 separate hard drives. In this case, we're only installing one 1 terabyte hard drive. Once you have the recorder opened up, you can pretty much easily identify the SATA connection, and it is labeled HD1. And then there is another one that says HD2. It is important that whenever you're installing just one hard drive, that you plug it into HD1 or SATA drive 1. Very important. If you plug it into SATA drive 2 and you only have one hard drive, it will not recognize it or record it. There has to be one plugged into SATA drive or HD1. I like to plug in the power cable first. You can only plug them in one way. So after it's plugged in, just make sure it's firmly seated into its connector. Then plug in the SATA cable, and it should make an audible click whenever you push it all the way in. You can take your hard drive, and the hard drive should have 4 threaded holes for your screws, or all of our recorders come with screws. And so you can just hand thread these in just a couple of turns. You can now plug in the hard drive. So once again, it can only go in one way. If you notice where the hard drive goes into, it's a key hole slot. And so you can start your screws, push it in, slide it in, and then tighten it from the back. The last thing to do is install the shroud cover of the recorder. Hey guys, so we're here today to start the setup process of an NVR4. It's the 4-channel Illumivue NVR recorder. This is assuming you've already installed a hard drive into the recorder. And just remember, if your hard drive, you want to install it and plug it into SATA drive 1 if you have 2 SATA slots. So assuming that is done, and assuming that you have your recorder online and the HDMI output to a monitor, you can start the setup process. So as you can see here, I've got the NVR setup just with one camera. This is also assuming that you've already set a username and password to secure your NVR. So this is the main tile screen showing all the different cameras. If you right click, you can go into the menu to go through the setup process. Now, there is a setup wizard that you can follow through, which is a very basic setup for P2P, just to get cameras on your phone. But I like to go through and really maximize the system to ensure that it's on the network, it's producing an IP address, that the hard drive is formatted, and then formatted in that all of the cameras are maximized on the system. So I'm not going to go through the wizard. You can go through the wizard on your own. So let's go through the setup of this NVR. So step one, like I said, I did install a hard drive. So let's ensure that the hard drive is recording. So if you go to storage, go to hard disk, as you can see here, yep, status is normal, and it is recording. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and format that hard drive. I think that's a good best practice. So let's go ahead and format. And you should be done as far as the hard drive setup and check. Next thing I want to do is check the network to make sure that it is on the network and producing an IP address. So click on network. I can see here, yep, it is online, and I am producing an IP address, which is good. So check 2. The next thing I want to do is go through and ensure that the NVR has its latest firmware. In addition to that, all the cameras are up to date as well. So to ensure that you have the latest firmware, or to do any kind of firmware updates, go to maintain, go to upgrade. You can see you have two choices. You can update the NVR firmware, or you can update the IP camera firmware. So we'll start with the NVR. And there's also two choices within the NVR upgrade. You have cloud or local. Locals, if you want to input the firmware directly into the NVR, or like I said, download it directly from the cloud. So I'm going to select cloud, check for update. Let's see. Yep, it looks like there is a update available. So I'm going to click upgrade. So it'll restart the device. Okay, so the NVR has completed the firmware update. It restarted, and so we're kind of back to where we had left off. So NVR is good. Let's move on to the cameras. And of course, only have one camera connected, but if you have multiple cameras here, you can click here, select all the cameras, and then check for an update. So after you click check for update, the latest version should pop up here, and as you can see, there is an update available. And then you should be able to click cloud update and click OK. It'll take several minutes for the firmware update to take action. While it's doing the firmware update, you'll see this line, or each line that the camera is updating, blink on and off. And then the camera itself will restart and then come back online. It may take a couple of minutes to upgrade or update the firmware, so just be patient. The next thing you want to do is to check the output resolution of your recorder. If you have a TV that has a 4K resolution, of course you want to maximize the video output so that you get the best picture on your monitor. So to do that, you can come over to System, to Preview, and then right here on Resolution on Video Output, you can change it here, okay? And then I'm using a 1080p monitor at the moment, so I can't change it to 4K, so I'll leave it where it was. All right. From this menu as well, you can change how the cameras are displayed on your monitor. So as you can see here, I've got just this one camera showing on the right, top right tile. But if I go back to System and to Preview, so that camera was showing up on the tile that was D2, which is top right. I can move that camera over to this tile by selecting the tile, then selecting the camera. After that, please hit apply, hit exit, and it can move over, all right? And within the preview menu, you have different configurations or different layouts for your cameras. Next up, you'd want to go to camera and then go to encoding. And from here, you can maximize your storage on your NVR. What I like to do is change the storage mode from main and substream because it's recording in 2 streams. I like to just record the main stream. The other things that you can do is turn on the smart recording. So you can select advanced mode, so it can also maximize how much storage you're recording. Most of the Illumivue cameras have a microphone built in, and so if you want to record that audio stream, you'd want to select audio stream on the main stream and on the substream. The substream is a secondary stream that's sent over a network to your mobile device. Next up, you'd want to go to the on-screen display, or OSD, for the cameras. And from here, you can give the camera a friendly name. So we'll just call this Cam 1. Enter. And then you can also change the date format if you don't like how that is formatted. We'll change it to day, month, and year. And then you can also change the time format as well to 12-hour. You can choose to show the time, and then I want to show the name as well, and it'll pop up a little green screen, and green identifies that is the camera name. The font size is medium, which I'm okay with. The font color, you can change it to any color you want. I think we'll go with blue here, and then you can click apply. Additionally, you can copy this to all of your other cameras. So if you hit copy, you can say, okay, I want to copy that font size, the time, and the color, date format, and time format to all of my other cameras. Since I only have one camera here, I can only copy it. I can't really copy it or multiply it, but this is a great shortcut for you guys in the field trying to set up cameras. Once you select all for all of your cameras, you'd click OK, and it would copy that format across, let's say, up to 16 cameras. Once you're done, of course, click apply, and you can move on to the next section. The next thing you can do, and this is optional, is to set up any of the analytics that are available for your camera. This particular camera, if you go over to VCA, you can see that the smart intrusion prevention is highlighted here in this orange color. So this camera has the features or the ability to give you notifications for line crossing and intrusion. If it's grayed out, this particular camera will not have those features. So let's go in here and set up the intrusion detection. Step 1 is make sure your camera is selected. Step 2 is to select intrusion detection on. And then the next thing is you want to click the gear and then make your adjustments, right? And so if this was, let's say, the front yard of my home, I want to be notified if anyone enters into this bottom right quadrant. To do so, you can draw a line. And so you can draw multiple lines here, but let's start out with this first line. And you would just click, release, click, release, click, release, and then double click when you're done. So that's number 1. That's your first area of intrusion. If anybody comes over here, you can get an email notification, set off a buzzer or alarm, or get a notification on your mobile device. Automatically, once you've drawn out that area of intrusion and selected intrusion detection, it will automatically send you a notification within the app, okay? You will have to set up email notifications and a buzzer, but I'll show you that in just a second. You can adjust the sensitivity. I would suggest starting off with, let's say, 80 to start with. And then you can also choose percentage. What this means is that the percentage of the area that is being entered into before it sets off an alarm. So I'm going to set that to say 10% of this area. If 10% of this square quadrant is entered into, then it will set off the alarm. Of course, you would want to play around with some of these settings, walk in that area of intrusion to see what's going to set it off and what's not going to set it off. Next up, you can look at the different trigger actions if someone enters into this area. Click the gear next to trigger actions. If you want an email to be sent if someone enters into that area, you would select email, click apply. Then you go over to network, email, and then here you can start entering in the recipient's information to receive those email notifications. Make sure to add a sender email and then also a recipient email. The last thing to do is to get the cameras on your mobile device, and this is probably the easiest part. To do that, you'd want to download the Illumivue app from either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. After you create an account and log in, click on the top left menu, select Devices, Add Device, and then scan the QR code. To scan the QR code, go to the Maintain section of the NVR. The QR code can also be found on the bottom of the recorder. Once scanned, the NVR will be added to your mobile device. If you're having trouble finding the IP address of your cameras, of maybe your recorder, there's a really cool tool that we have available, and it's called the Illumivue Configurator, or Config. The Illumivue Config is a discovery tool. It allows you to update Illumivue products on your network via the cloud. You can also find the IP address of any Illumivue products on your network. You can restart or default multiple devices and look up serial numbers. You can also do a calculation of your storage of your recorder. So if you're an Illumivue dealer, this is definitely something that you're going to want in your toolbox. It is a free download, like I said, from our website. To get this application to work, once you have it launched, you would plug in your laptop via Ethernet directly into a camera port or a PoE port of the recorder. Once plugged in, you can hit the refresh button and it should populate the IP addresses of not only your recorder, but all of your cameras that are associated to that recorder. So I only have one NVR and one IP camera, so that's the only thing that's populating here. As you can tell, it's giving you the IP address of the recorder. If you want to tunnel directly into the recorder, you can click the remote web and then put your username and password into the fields. And so now this is access directly into that recorder. You can go through the complete setup if you wanted to on your laptop instead of the NVR itself or the monitor out, if that's more convenient for you. You can see live view, you can do playback. Like I said, set up the cameras just like you were setting it up through the NVR itself on a monitor output. So we'll go ahead and close that out. You can also tunnel directly into the camera. So come over here to remote web. Now you will have to enter in the username and password of that camera. Very secure system. So this is the one IP camera we have set up. You can go here into setup. You can change usernames, passwords of the camera. Of course, change exposure rate, some of the analytics as well. Click on intelligent. You can see that this camera is already set up for intrusion. You can set up line crossing here as well, change the thresholds and percentages, the trigger events. So very, very useful tool. Like I said, mainly you'd want to use this for doing an IP search of your cameras or your NVR if you, for some reason, somehow don't see your cameras directly connected to your recorder. Now, the secondary reason why you'd want to have this piece of software is to calculate the hard drive storage. So from here, you would click calculation, you would add in your recorder, and this is our guy right here. I only have one channel, one camera set up. So I click OK. So from here, you can see we've got H.264 compression, one channel at 25 frames per second, and it's estimating I have 43 days of recording. Now, the more channels or more cameras you add, of course, this number is going to lower. The higher the resolution, the higher the frame rate, this will also lower. So lower the recording time. Great tool to use, and especially for your end user, to notify them of how many days of recording. Also a great tool to understand if you need to upgrade your hard drive or add an additional hard drive.